So there's this great story about Mark Leader Adams having an epiphany of the protection of the South Fork American River and capturing a shot that was the quintessential picture of the beauty and the sensitivity of the South Fork American River.
In the spring of 1989, 2 hot air balloons glided through the South Fork of the American's watershed valleys. Alan Airgott floated over this beautiful yet unprotected landscape, looking down at what might one day be flooded with houses and condos. While they lost themselves in the view below, Mark Leader Adams focused on what was above. Mark was an artist and knew exactly how to capture the river's beauty. And when those 2 balloons set down on the water's surface, Mark twisted the focal ring of his camera and snapped the picture that would ignite a passion in so many. A passion to save the American River and its watershed.
I had snuck into Baki Ranch one early Sunday morning to do scenics of the river, and I saw 2 of Alan's balloons up canyon, and I took a bunch of pictures, and one of them was the perfect one with the balloon reflected in the pool.
And he created a poster-sized photo of the South Fork, and at the bottom he imposed the words American River Land Trust. So Mark the artist took that to Bill Center, who's one of the most incredibly articulate and just beautiful speakers with so much passion about rivers and conservation. And he took it to Bill Center, and Bill said, yeah, we're gonna do this.
So at that point in time, we had no choice. We had to move on. We had to create the land trust, and did.
His work as an artist needed to bring to light the fragility of California's own American River.
The thing that really caught our attention was the road that was bulldozed down essentially from Salmon Falls Road down to Surprise Rapid.
The River Canyon was a sanctuary for so many boaters and recreational people in the community itself. And when that road was put in, it was just a direct violation of our home.
Hey, we can't continue to let this red dirt run into the river from this ugly road. And what are we going to do about it?
The road that Mark was photographing not only cut through the hillside, but it cut a clear path for other developers to follow.
It was really about that time that Mark, in his insistent way, wanted to get Bill Center and I together to talk about what could be done to protect the River Canyon.
They did get together and we had some meetings, but very early on I just turned the paperwork over to them because I really wasn't mature enough to handle that.
Everything started happening at once. We were meeting, there were plans for development on the board, the horrible road down to Surprise Rapid had happened. The community was upset.
All kinds of people just rose up from the community and offered their talents, and we got an incredible amount done in a short period of time.
And it really flowed from issues of rafting and access and boating and that whole industry, which was fairly new.
The small ranching town of Coloma was awestruck as rafters, kayakers, and canoeists flooded the shorelines, half-dressed or not dressed at all.
The American River was the focus of a rafting boom that topped out at about, 80 or 90 commercial companies were on the river. And we had literally 150,000 people going down that river every summer.
And the thing that was amazing was even the guides were amazed at how many rafts there were on the river. And this was because it was 1982 and the Stan had been drowned just that winter. So all the trips that were on the Stanislaus were moved to the American.
While a local public official called the newcomers fornicators, urinators, and defecators, in reality these newcomers felt passionately responsible for the river. This passion came from having seen the Stanislaus River drowned by New Maloney's reservoir. With everyone devastated at the loss of the stand, and certainly very concerned with the potential of development on the South Fork of the American, we decided that we needed to get together, and we did. We got together at the river store and we talked about what we could do, and that was essentially the start of the American River Land Trust. On April Fool's Day of 1989, the American River Land Trust became incorporated, and the Marshall Gold State Park offered up one of its own buildings to be turned into a nature center.
Well, our first community fundraiser was actually the 4th of July, 1989, where we just invited friends last minute to a picnic in the Marshall Gold State Park. We raised $6,000 and literally it went into the toilet. I mean, it went into the septic system for the Nature Center, and quite frankly only Robin Center could pull that off, and she worked on so many fundraisers for us that it really got us through the first couple years.
I never would have thought that it would have been, as I was growing up, to be a fundraiser, but one of my main roles at the American River Land Trust and Nature Center has been fundraising, and the byproduct of fundraising being making connections with people and people feeling aware of the organization.
I remember when we started the Conservancy, I was thinking, well, where's the money going to come from? You know, how's this going to work? We're a bunch of river guides here, none of us have any money.
And a lot of the people who are most passionate about rivers and about free-flowing rivers were spending their time on places like the Tuolumne or the Merced that didn't have 100,000 people a year going down them.
Who'd ever heard of the American River? It was like a joke. This is the American River, and how come I've never heard of it?
We knew that we needed some private donors and some public agency donors, and one of the ways that we were able to do that was to, one, take them down the river in a raft, and the second was to actually fly them down in a hot air balloon.
Well, and flying over River Canyon is like looking at the circulatory system of a human being. You can kind of see life coming together, and you can sort of see the vitality. Everything seems to be amplified in a river corridor. And that's one of the things that motivated us, is we looked at the public land and said, these are the places we need to work. And these are the same things that Alan Airgod and American River Conservancy looked at. So it's a natural that we came together.
We knew that we needed a couple key people from the Bureau of Land Management. Dean Swickard, the area manager, was very, very key to this process.
He took pieces of property which were owned by the BLM in far-flung areas that weren't as environmentally sensitive, and he sold those and took the money and acquired land along the South Fork because it was more environmentally sensitive.
The problem was we didn't move fast enough for private landowners. Our transactions were too slow. The American River and Alan Airgod came into the picture, and they could facilitate these transactions. So they ended up making us operate at the speed of business.
So you can buy all this land, but you have to have a community to pass it on to that has the passion to take care of it. Forever is a long time.
My philosophy is that we can never conserve enough of this land to really have the impact that's necessary in our bigger global sense. What we have to do is really invite people in to create their own ethic about how they interact with special places.
The thing that makes this sustainable over time, from generation to generation, is environmental education.
Everybody knew the river was valuable, but it was the multi-use trails that we had to get in to show the community at large just how valuable the land and the river together were.
Really, our first trail project was in 2003 and 2004 when we completed the acquisition of the 1,400-acre Cronin Ranch. Between Dean Swickard, the BLM, and the Conservancy, we were able to raise about $8 million.
My role was really to provide $10 million to buy the Cronin Ranch, you know, of which I only got $1 million, and turned out that Alan came up with $7 million.
Despite who came up with what amount, the bottom line was the ARC and the BLM worked together to successfully purchase the property that would later be crisscrossed with multi-use trails for the community.
The trail was really a way of including all of the different types of users, all the members of the community, in particular, for instance, the equestrians, the hikers, the bikers. All of these folks could see a benefit to a trail.
See, every time I go to Cronin, you know, there's horse shit everywhere, and you're just like, this is a good sign. you know, it's getting used.
Today, in 2009, we are literally building the last mile of the South Fork American River Trail system. It's about 25 miles altogether with various loop trails, but it will allow people to hike, bicycle, or ride a horse from Highway 49 down to Salmon Falls Bridge there by Folsom Lake.
It's really exciting. This is both a great recreational area, but it's also kind of a biological window, so to speak, because you're going to be able to pass through some of, you know, the foothills' most dominant ecosystems. So it's just sampling. It's kind of a cross-cut of our own backyard, our river system, and the vegetation that's alongside it.
The great thing about the trail is that it's the perfect field science laboratory.
I think the completion of a trail along the South Fork American River is the completion of one chapter of this stream.
One of the interesting things about the American River Conservancy has been its ability to be diverse.
So what's happened over the last couple of decades is we've put together a huge footprint, a wonderful, wonderful strip of protected land, and it will be here forever.
The new blood that's come into the county and been involved with the Conservancy, and the faces going to an event where you don't recognize half the people there, is just, to me, a huge sign of your child growing up and going off into the world and leading its own life in a very healthy, sustainable way.
It's amazing how great a success the Conservancy has been. More or less, the whole river is safe.
If we can't protect our rivers, if we can't protect our water, then we're in trouble. It's like we need clean air and we need clean water. And those are just the basics of life.
If in the end it shows the American River Conservancy stepping in where no one else had stepped in, where no organization was doing the things that they're doing, and if you can show its importance in the future, it's far more than today, I think that you'll really be showing the true story of ARC, because what they're doing today is really going to pay off in the future, and most people don't even have a hint.